Turns out most people don't realize that non-native EMF, which is non-sunlight EMF, causes hypoxia. So if you think about sitting next to, I don't know, let's say a server farm in California that Google runs, just saying you live there, you would be creating a relative hypoxic event for the colony of mitochondria inside of you. So this is the reason why we don't want you to live there. In Europe, the idea I would give you, this is the reason why if you live where you guys are and you live next to one of those big wind turbines, you're going to get sicker faster and die sooner. Why? Because those wind turbines, they do the same thing. They make you hypoxic.
And they suck.
So
They
is
are
that
ugly.
kind of similar to EMFs?
No, it's not kind of similar. It is exactly the same. The amount of electromagnetic pollution that come off of those wind turbines is off the charts.
Damn.
And this is the reason why those motherfuckers in the World Economic Forum need to die. Okay?
Wow.
We need to get rid of their ideas
Truth bomb.
in and around alternative fuel sources.
Not only alternative foods or energy sources. Their ideas about everything suck. Do you hear that, Greta? Your ideas suck. Whoever came up with the Illuminati meetings to put the Greta, put this little girl behind the climate message, that backfired quickly. Nobody was eating that up anymore. Maybe some people were, I don't know. If they were full retard.
Are horrendous for our population. It doesn't mean that I'm a big proponent that everybody should use gas and hydrocarbons, but hydrocarbons still to this day are the best fuel source to run our civilization. The things that people are trying to do, like the next best generation, in my view, is also decidedly anti-European, but it's nuclear. Nuclear is the single second best choice, but this nonsense with wind and solar energy, if you saw the amount of electromagnetic pollution that comes off a wind turbine or a photovoltaic that you use for solar power, you would never stay next to this stuff. This stuff is completely toxic for your mitochondria.
Wow. I had no idea about.
Damn. Right, you can get off my beard and get into my belly. I need some more salmon to tell. I actually didn't know this either before I learned it from Uncle Jack. That solar power is those fucking things that are everywhere now. I always thought they were like better because you could create energy outside of the system, off the grid with them. But if you do that, never put them near you or your family. Put them somewhere far away. If you have a small off-grid lot, that's a tough one. But Jack actually had one patient. He told this story on one of the podcasts I listened. This older guy, and he had a bunch of problems. I think it was mostly with his heart, and Jack kind of couldn't figure it out for some time. Like the problems always came back, even when he get the sunlight and good water and good food and all the grounding, the basics. But then they did this test on his home where they measure the electromagnetic frequencies. With these devices you can do this pretty easily on your own also. You just need to buy the device from somewhere, or you can hire some engineer to come check out your place, how terrible the non-native EMFs might be. And this guy had his solar panels on top of his house, and it was straight on top of where his bedroom were. And they found that they were radiating these non-native EMFs incredibly much straight into his bed. And when they discovered it, they moved the solar panels somewhere else or threw them in the trash, and like that, the problems solved. And I think this guy had years of these problems, and he was doing already some time things pretty good. He was getting the sunlight, the food, the nature, the grounding. But if the solar panels, the non-native EMFs, like think about it, you're sleeping there for 8 to 10 hours, you're just basically microwaving yourself. Problem solved like that. So if you get those solar power things, put them somewhere far away from you and your loved ones.
About that.
Me neither.
That's 0.
But it's
Well, guess what? Here's the book. Here's the book that I want you guys to read. Next time we do a podcast, that's going to be required for you. It's a gentleman named Andrew Marino. He's both a biophysicist and a
Right.
lawyer in the United States. He's actually testified in Congress. He wrote a book called Going Somewhere. This book, absolutely everybody in your audience, everybody in Europe, should read this book. Once you read it, then I think we come back and do a podcast there, and you're going to go, holy shit, why didn't we know this stuff? And I'm going to tell you the reason why they don't tell you.
By design. Get that in your head.
They are trying to control you. Remember we talked
Yes.
about that last time.
Yeah.
That centralized systems
Yeah.
are trying to control human behavior, and they want you to believe that everything that is hydrocarbon, anything that makes CO2 is bad. It turns out when humans evolved from other primates, do you know that the CO2 levels in the atmosphere were higher than they are today? By multiple fold. So
Greta, listen up real carefully what Uncle Jack is about to say. Real carefully.
So I want you to think about that. Without the CO2 in the environment, we don't even get here. And these guys want to cut it lower. Do you know what happens when you cut CO2 lower? Based on the story that I just told both of you about mitochondria, destroys photosynthesis. Because remember, what's the fuel source for photosynthesis? CO2.
Yeah.
And 400, 420, 400.
How's that? How's that, Greta? You skipped a couple biology classes. You skipped third grade.
50 parts per million on an evolutionary scale is nothing.
Yeah.
We used to be at 2,000 parts of CO2. We have now at some of the lowest levels. In fact, I can make the case thermodynamically. You guys should be going outside right now, cutting trees down and burning it to put more CO2 back into the environment. That's really
Let's
low.
get to
Yeah.
work.
Okay.
No, not
wow.
the trees.
We'll take a quick break to acknowledge.
Yeah, bro. Climate change. That's the next one they try to control us. I think they yesterday I was talking about how they gonna try to block the sun officially in UK, the Great Britain, not so great if you don't get any sunshine. You're gonna be horrible Britain. Suck ass Britain. Anyway, one of the main reasons the official narrative they say it's because it's sun is increasing CO2 levels, it's increasing the heat levels, it's increasing the global warming. Really? Really? You don't know any history? Did you know that we live in a living system that's constantly changing? Like these things change all the time on this earth. Our bodies change constantly all the time. So does the earth, so does the nature. And the CO2 levels have been much higher before and probably lower. And we got a lot of deserts in Earth right now. Maybe we need a little bit more CO2 to get a little bit greener, get a little bit more oxygen. But yeah, we don't wanna become hypoxic. That's what non-native EMFs do. So maybe they are actually trying to save us. They wanna limit the CO2 so plants don't photosynthesis that much, so we don't get more oxygen because we are already hypoxic from all this technology abuse everybody's doing. Like when you see this picture, this tech abuse picture, and you realize how bad it is. Like I realized the food picture long ago, but you add the tech one on top of that, and it's even worse, the light one on top of that. Boys, we fucked if we don't go outside, if we don't get that sunlight, and if we don't throw this tech out to the freaking trash bag where it belongs. These transhumanist, royalist, Zionist freaks, they need to stop with these ideas. And we need to stop a lot of things, let's be honest.